Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and in today's video we are going to have a look and review the iniBuilds A320neo version 2 that is delivered together with Sim Update 15 of Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now you can already see a couple of lovely animations right over here, which are all part of the aircraft, which we'll check out in a few moments once we actually get inside and get to start our review. Now, we are sitting here in MK Studios Barcelona and we're going to fly this over to Ibiza, so a quick about 35-minute flight that we're about to do over here. Everything we will use in this video is going to be simulator default, with the exception of the airports and active sky weather. But the aircraft and everything associated with it, like animations, like the vehicles you just saw, all come with the default aircraft. Okay, so as a prerequisite for our review, we need to keep in mind that this is, well, a default aircraft, and we are going to treat it as such. We are not going to treat it against real life. We're not going to compare it one-to-one with the real aircraft and nag about everything that doesn't work, even though, admittedly, Germans are very good at that. But instead we are going to take it from a simulator's default point of view. Now, our last flight with the aircraft went really well, and it looked like they made a lot of improvements compared to the earlier versions that we had available in the beta. So once again, guys, do take that as a little comparison between what a beta can do and what final releases can look like. There can be huge differences in between them. Alright, so now with all of that out of the way, let's go straight into the cockpit, power the airplane up. You can see this is already where we did things like toggle the catering or the luggage that we just had. Now, let's go ahead and power the aircraft up, and then we are going to see how the night lighting looks. So, power is coming on. We're going to have a quick look at the night lighting before it's getting too bright over here, and then we're going to start preparing the aircraft for our flight. So this is the basic lighting that you see over here. In my opinion, really well done. It really does give you that feeling of being inside an Airbus aircraft. Also, what is really nice is that you got some different brightness levels, so you can nicely see where the bulb is located over here. Then it's a little bit more in the shadow over there. Here's a new bulb located. That's some really nice effects that we can see in the aircraft over here. Okay then, let's go ahead and have a look at the dome light. This is what it looks like in the maximum bright position. It is worth mentioning that floodlights in Airbus aircraft are usually not as bright as they are, for example, in Boeing's. So what we see over here is actually pretty much to my liking. Now, I do have to say that I really like those visual animations here as well. Like, you can get all those sunshades up. You can pretty much turn your aircraft into a rather dark spot that nobody can look into. And to be honest, when the plane is parked at the gate, that is what quite some colleagues do. So you do have all these nice animations available to you. Now, let's just get rid of those over here. Another feature that you do have in the cockpit, if we just turn the dome light off again, is the floodlights on the front panel, and the switch for that is located right down here. And, well, this is what they look like. Pretty bright when you turn them all the way up. Usually we have them somewhere around the middle position or so when we are flying, and this is actually looking pretty good over here as well. Okay, so, of course, we do have the table. Probably the most important feature in any Airbus aircraft. Let's get rid of that again. I do have to say though that it seems a little bit big to me. So they might have over-dimensioned it a little bit. But dimensions are what we are going to talk about in a few moments anyway. Because if you look at the size of the window here and compare that with the main panel over here, then even though some of you said under my last video that it does look correct to you, I can't quite agree with that. I do believe that the windows became a little bit big in this. But, well, we're going to have a more detailed look at that throughout the flight. Last but not least, we do also have a virtual cabin available over here. You can download that one as a free expansion from the simulator's marketplace. Again, it comes for free, so there is no harm getting it. I do believe it is only available for PC though, and not for Xbox, because Xbox would have some problems handling it. We'll take a little bit more detailed look in the cabin once we are in the air. So for now, let's just get that door closed again, and we're going to start setting the aircraft up. So 17 degrees outside, then we don't need air conditioning just yet, so we are going to keep the APU off for now. Nonetheless, we will do the APU fire test, and that is looking good. In regards to the electronic flight pack then, we do have our dashboard where we can import SimBrief flight plans, which is quite nice. You can see we're flying Vueling Flight 3500 today, Barcelona to Ibiza. We do have the ability to request custom weather down here. Let's say, for example, I wanted weather for Palma de Mallorca. Can just type that in, request it, and here we go. Okay. And interestingly enough, as we just did that, our sound did, for a weird reason, disappear. Interesting. Never had that before. Well, that is interesting. I haven't had that yet. Okay, well, might just quickly have to fix that thing, if we know how to do it. But I have to admit, I really don't. Okay. Oh, the entire airplane froze up. Lovely. Beautiful. Not. Okay, well, here we go again. So we just really had to restart our flight. For some reason, the entire panel was frozen up after we used the weather search. I do seem to remember that that stuff happened with the iniBuilds A310 as well. But, well, the sim is now restarted, everything is working again, so let's go ahead and power it up again. And, well, then we are going to resume our flight from there. The good thing is, we don't really need that weather search, because we do have the weather available for departure and destination airports right up here. Okay, so going down into the operational flight plan then. This is what we have, planned at flight level 190, and looking down into the fuel plan, we need 4.5 tons of fuel, and if we quickly go down to the weather, we can see that basically we're looking at good weather conditions at our destination Ibiza, so I'd say we can simply keep it at that, and don't need to do anything there. Okay, so going into the payload menu then. Well, first going into the ground menu, we just got to request our jetway once again, because obviously we did restart the simulator, so all that lovely preparation we did was, well, kinda turned obsolete. In any case, that is now coming again. Then we might just as well toggle the luggage one more time. You will see that when we click toggle luggage, it actually does automatically open the cargo door, apply the belt, then we will have the luggage carts drive all the way there, and after a short period loading, they're just going to drive away again. So that's a pretty nice animation that we have available in the aircraft there, which is surely going to be appreciated by many. Okay then, onto the payload menu. If we just click SimBrief over here, it is going to uplink the SimBrief numbers. Just be aware that it gives you minimum fuel, so you might want to add a little bit, like, say in this case, 4,500 kilos. Click apply load, we'll do an instant loading up here, and the airplane is done. On the panel states menu, you can request different panel states. The takeoff page does give you the ability to do some simplified takeoff calculations over here, pretty much like this. So let's see, payload, fuel weight is, well, live gross weight 63450, so if we calculate 63.5 tons, we should get some good takeoff data over here, so 63,500. Alright, hit calculate, and that's it. On the options page, finally, you do have a lot of different options available. For example, you can change your tail number over here. Let's say we want it to be Echo Charlie Victor Lima Golf, just as an example. Then you can do that. And, well, doesn't seem to change the registration live on the fly, though. Okay, our baggage loading is finished, it seems. They are removing the equipment once again. And then the door is shutting as well now. Nice and smooth animation, unfortunately not 100% realistic to the A320, but nonetheless, it does the job, and that's the important part of it. Okay, the last important thing I want to show you on the settings page then is the throttle settings, because you can really calibrate them live over here. So depending on where your physical throttles are, you can just set your detents over here, which is pretty nice. You can go for reverse on the axis. That's pretty nicely done, I have to say. Okay then, so that much for our general system setup. Let's go ahead and do some FMS programming then, because, well, we want to bring the airplane into the air in the end. So, quick general flight deck setup. Again, this is not meant as a tutorial, so if you're looking for a tutorial on how to fly the aircraft, then I do strongly recommend you to check out my tutorial I did on the Phoenix A320. The vast majority of what I said in there should also be applicable to flying the iniBuilds. The good thing is, as long as we have good simulations of all our aircraft, those tutorials are usually cross-compatible. Okay, so QNH over here, let's have a quick look, is 1018. Pretty much like this. Okay, oxygen, well, the oxygen quantity is a little bit low. Hydraulic is looking good, and for the engine oil, let's quickly power up the FADEX, which we can do on the aft overhead, and that is looking good as well. By the way, I do really like the fact that they have modeled this feature, because it is not one of the very obvious ones, but the fact they do this is pretty cool, because it means that you can operate the airplane correctly under standard Airbus SOP. Okay, so then going down to the weather radar, well, it is the standard Asobo radar, so there is not too much to be said about this, apart from the fact that it does just show you, well, a picture, not exactly a realistic one though. Alright, let's go right into our FMS pre-flight. We're going to request our routing over here. It is going to uplink from SimBrief. Our flight number is going to be Vueling 3500. Cost index 20, flight level 190. So, Barcelona, departure runway 06 right. And our SID today is going to be the LAPA for Romeo departure. So let's go ahead and find that. LAPA for Romeo, there it is. Insert that. And for our arrival in the Ibiza, we'll have the ILS Zulu approach runway 06 with the Tolzo for Victor arrival. And that is located just down here, Tolzo for Victor. Don't need any transition. Approach vias, we're going to go via DMF. Insert that. Quick look over our route, making sure that everything is the way it should be. So we'll just stroll through it, make sure that there are no larger errors in here. But this is pretty much looking very good. All the constraints are there. Everything is here. Even our missed approach is here. Though it does look a little strange the way the line is drawn, but, well, let's not get overly critical, shall we? Okay then, for the engine out waypoints, we did figure out in previous videos that we do need to create new waypoints over here. So BCNX2, for example. And this is going to be from Barcelona 06 right on the runway track, which is supposed to be 062. So 062, and we'll fly 20 miles straight ahead. By the way, I do really have to say I very much like the fact that it does store all the waypoints we create. It has a maximum of 20, but you can see that all the ones I created on my previous videos featuring the aircraft are still here, so that is pretty cool. Now for the secondary flight plan, we copy the active and we insert our engine out routing in here, including the holding. Insert that, thank you, and then immediate return, in case we need to, is going to be down to Barcelona for an ILS approach, runway 06 left. They usually use the Zulus over here, and we will set up the same thing in the fixed pages. So Barcelona 06 right with the extended center line on 062, and well, 25-mile ring for MSA awareness, and then BCNX2 is going to go into the second fixed page. Excellent. We don't need any radios. We will take our runway waypoint down here, and that leads us onto the init page. With a simple click we can quickly uplink our previous values. Block fuel 4.5, the rest comes automatic, gives us a minute of extra fuel. That's about all we need. Wind component average headwind 11 knots, so we can just enter head 11. And well, here we go, 9 minutes of extra. That is just about perfect. Let's go ahead and uplink our takeoff data that we have previously calculated. Send to FMGS. Sending data, and here it is, so we'll quickly confirm that. And it is, if I'm not mistaken, a flaps 1 takeoff. Yes, it is. With the trim of 0.4 up. So 1/up 0.4. And here we go. Okay, finally engine out is going to be in 1500. The rest remains as it is. We don't need to pre-select any speed. The managed speed is good. And that's it, my friends. That's our FMS setup completed. So we have 2 more minutes for IRS alignment, but we can make good use of those. First of all, by setting our first cleared altitude, which is 6000 in Barcelona, and then we can go ahead and start up the APU. Okay, so APU is coming, and that's it. Alright, in that case, let's go ahead and say hello to the passengers, and thereafter we are going to do the briefing as soon as our IRS alignment is finished, and then we will start our pushback on our way towards our destination. Now, our little unwanted simulator restart did have a positive effect. You can see that all of a sudden our registration is here now, both on the outside and on the inside. So once it was entered on the electronic flight bag, that little sim restart we had to do due to the panel freeze did show our registration. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome aboard our Airbus A321neo on this Vueling flight 3500 leading towards Ibiza. My name is Emmanuel and I'm your captain today. With me on the flight deck, a lot of very curious first officers who are going to fly you over. Now, in the name of our company, we'd like to welcome you all aboard. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight with us. It is a short flight of about 35 minutes, so we will give you the latest weather information for our destination already. In Ibiza, we're looking at light clouds, and we are going to get good temperatures above 20 degrees centigrade throughout the flight, almost approaching the 30s. Thank you very much for your attention. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. Okay, excellent. So our IRS alignment is finished. Then let's go ahead and do our departure briefing. So, pilot monitoring, it is your turn. Okay, thank you. So we're departing Barcelona runway 06 right on the Lapa 4 Romeo departure. Initial climb towards 6000 MSA wise, 3500, but over the water we are pretty much clear of any terrain, so 3000 is going to do if we need to. 9 minutes of extra fuel on board. Excellent, I do agree with that. There are no hotspots for the taxi. Stop margin for an RTO, 1500 meters. Engine out sits straight at 25 miles, climbing 3000 and pick up the hold. We can do an immediate return. We are under the maximum landing weight, and runway 06 left with an ILS Zulu approach is pre-programmed in the secondary flight plan. I do not have anything special or non-standard. Do you have any threats for this departure? Nope, excellent, so that's our briefing complete. There is just one small thing that I just have to do. Acceleration in Barcelona is 3,500 feet. So thrust reduction at 1,000, but acceleration in 3,500. That's a little bit non-standard here, but not too special either way. Okay, cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers, removed. Fuel quantity, 4,500 kilograms. Balanced. Seatbelts on. ADRs. Nav, barrel ref, QNH 1018. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Okay, external power can go. Looking at the load sheet, we are pretty much full, so the pack flow is going to remain in the norm position. And then let's go ahead and remove all the ground equipment, and then we'll get our airplane ready. So GPU can go, chocks can go. Let's toggle the pushback tog, see if we can get that to connect a little bit earlier, so that we can avoid the pushback delay that we had on our previous flight. But looks like that doesn't really want to work, so, well, might just have to live with it. Toggle pushback? No? Okay, what if we just click the button to start the pushback? Now it does connect, okay. Well, not 100% sure about that function, but, well, the tog is connecting, and that is what counts. Okay. Ground from cockpit? Go ahead. So, please confirm all doors and hatches closed, ground equipment is removed, and bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed, Captain. Okay, thank you. The parking brake is released, and you're clear to start the pushback. Roger, starting the push, and stand by for the engines. Standing by. Before start checklist. Parking brake, released, takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 134, VR 134, V2 137, flags 55. Windows. Closed, beacon, on, before start checklist complete. Alright, that was a pretty good pre-flight. Oh, nice departure over there. Right, Flight you can start your engines. Roger, starting in sequence 2, then 1. Okay, let's try to see if we can get it to align with the center line over here. Engine 2 start. I'll take some timing here, see how long that's actually going to take. I do expect it to take a little bit above a minute per engine, something like that. Looks like we started the turn a little bit late here. Let's just go ahead and stop the push. Okay, push complete, set your parking brake. Parking brake set. Okay, all ground equipment is removed, standing by for engines. Roger. So that's a good start number 2, we're starting engine number 1. Clear 1. Engine 1 start. And we're looking at a minute 17. That is a believable number if you ask me. Of course, the starting time of the LEAP engine depends on whether they are hot or whether they are cold. Right now, obviously, they are cold since the airplane has overnighted here in Barcelona. But when they're hot, it can take quite a bit longer, up to like 2.5 or 3 minutes even. That is due to a feature called bowed rotor motoring. And basically what that does is when the airplane has been standing with the hot engine, then all the hot air will have moved to the top of the engine, and therefore the Therefore, the parts at the top of the engine, most notably the fan blades, are going to be a little bit warmer and therefore expand a little bit, and that would cause quite some imbalance in the engine when the things are rotating, and that would in return result in severe vibrations, and therefore the about rotor motoring is executed. Okay, ground, we've got 2 good starts here. Clear disconnection with the sign on the right side with a pin. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye. Okay, let's say the clear signal is observed. After start checklist, please. Anti-ice, off, ecam status, checked, pitch trim. That's 30%, rudder trim, neutral, after start checklist complete. Request taxi, please. Alright, the plane should taxi in idle, and it does taxi in idle. You can see even right now we are rather heavy with a full complement of 186 passengers. About 800 kilograms in the hold, and well, in idle thrust it does taxi forward just about fine. Okay, brake check. Pressure 0. That was a little bit hard. Normally you are supposed to do it a little bit less pronounced, let's call it that way. Okay, so we go straight ahead and basically follow the taxi line. Runway 06 right is located just over there in the back. Alright, flight control track. Full up, full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. Let's see if the paddle steering disconnect button is simulated. It is. Full left, full right, neutral. Even though with the button pressed, obviously the nose should not have turned at all. Looks like it just disconnects the tiller, but it should also disconnect the nose wheel steering that is bound to the paddles. So you really should have zero, completely zero nose wheel steering when the paddle disconnect button is pressed. Looks like that is not working 100% yet, but well, I suppose that would be asking too much. I mean, remember we are still talking about a default aircraft over here, and the simple fact that we just did 99% correct pre-flight procedure for an A320 in a default aircraft is pretty amazing if you ask me. Okay then, straight ahead, get clear of the apron. Okay, cabin ready as well, that is excellent. We are clear on the left side, and we are clear on the right side. Then let's make a right-hand turn over here towards the runway. I have no changes to the takeoff briefing, even though... No changes at all. Okay, taxi checklist please. Flight controls, checked. Flap setting, conf 1 plus F, radar and predictive wind shear, on and auto, engine start selector, norm, ecam memo, takeoff no blue, taxi checklist complete. Okay, so a small word on the taxi behavior of the aircraft over here. You can see that we can do the entire taxi out with the engines completely in idle. We didn't have to apply thrust a single time. And that is exactly how the A320neo should behave. Now, obviously, at very high takeoff weights, that stuff might change a little bit. But at the weights at which most flight simulators are going to operate the aircraft, it is performing really perfectly. And again, remember, this is a default aircraft, so that is really, really cool that it is performing that well. Alright, so there is no traffic on the approach. Nothing over there. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. So remember, do not follow the yellow lines when you're lining up. They are only for vacating the runways. For lineup, you just take the maximum distance you can get. So pretty much like this. Okay, lineup checklist. Takeoff runway 06 right, full length. TCAS, TARA, packs 1 and 2, off. Lineup checklist complete. Are you ready? So that guy is gone. Take off. Manflex 55, SS runway auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Taking off right into the sun, always a good thing. But that's what sunglasses are for, 100 knots. V1 rotate. Positive climb, gear up. Nav, checked. So, 400 feet, right turn out. Note to myself, less screenshotting, more flying. Thrust climb, auto thrust. Okay, the first pack is coming on. And here we go, 10 seconds later, the second pack is coming on. Now just a quick word here on some flight dynamics thing that I found really nice. When we initially became airborne and the landing gear was retracted, you could see when we went to the outside how there were these huge landing gear doors. And well, those do produce a lot of drag, and you can really see how the airplane is now climbing a lot better after the gear doors have been closed. Climb. That's just a neat little feature that I just want to point out over here, showing us how they really did some pretty good work with those flight dynamics. Okay, we might go slightly above 205, but let's go flap 0. Speed checked. So we'll just go 5 knots faster, that's fine. Reduces the drag quite a bit, in my opinion that is worth it. Also it's going to give us a nice indication as to what the flight directors command. Will it command the magenta buck or will it command the green dot speed? Let's find out here. Autopilot 1, let's see what the plane is going to fly. It should fly the green dot speed, and not the magenta buck. Let's just give it a moment to establish itself on speed. But it looks to me like it is really aiming for the green dot rather than the magenta. Which is good, because it should never fly slower than the speed responsible for the current flap setting. Okay, set standard. Standard cross-check passing level 66. Now, checked. So indeed, it really never went below the green dot. That is excellent. Directs should work pretty well in the aircraft as well. Let's find out and go direct towards Lapa. It's a little bit different from what you're used to from other A320 simulations, but this is indeed one possibility of how the direct page can look like. And the only thing that I miss in terms of Direct 2 functionality from the aircraft indeed is the ability to create a radial indirect. I really hope that that is going to be added with a future version, since it is Airbus SOP to use those on approach. But apart from that, the plane does have pretty much most of the FMS functionality that I could ask for a standard A to B flight. And that is quite cool. I really have to admit that. That is quite cool. Okay, passing 10,000. Lights are coming off. Seatbelts auto. Well, we can stay on the constraints because it is a short flight. And then we can do clear and copy. So nothing in the NAVRAD. Copy the secondary and clear the fix info. Right, destination Lima Echo India Bravo 06 is going straight into here. 146 miles to fly. Cruising 190, optimum 395. Okay. Well, and that's it. So, we're nicely in the air, and don't really have to worry about anything now. So let's take a quick look into the passenger cabin, as I promised you on the ground that we would do. And let's also quickly get those up, because, well, it is rather bright outside. So, in order to get the passenger cabin, you need to download the free expansion pack from Marketplace. Again, it is free, so by all means, do get it. The galleys and modeling are high quality. It's not 100% up to the Phoenix standard, but then again, for a default aircraft, if you ask me, this is looking absolutely amazing. For a default aircraft, it's really very, very good. Looking at the flight attendant panel here, nothing we can do, and the buttons are not labeled, but apart from that, it is really a very well designed aircraft. If we go a little bit further back right now into the passenger cabin, let's just take a seat here on a business class seat. And we just ran into an invisible wall, it seems. Well, here we go. So this is what the passenger seats look like. First of all, very high quality modeling on the walls over here. Nice dirt textures on the windows as well. It really brings you into that being there feeling, if you ask me. Now, you can't put the window shades down, but that would really be asked too much, would it? The modeling of the seats itself is also very good, with the safety cards nicely visible over here. You also have a pushback in case you're flying with me, and I'm hand flying once again. Well, and good modeling of the seats throughout the cabin. It is the same seats installed in the business and the economy cabin. For that reason, I'm not going to go back now and have a look at the economy as well. But overall, a very well modeled cabin. Also, if we do take a moment to look up here at the circuit breakers and the ground service bus, it's not simulated, that switch, but nonetheless it is working, well, it is looking very good. That's what I meant to say. Okay, back into the cockpit, we got 1000 to go. Do vertical speed, reduce that a little bit here. Okay, all star, there we go. Let's have a look at how the airplane is going to level off then, because that is where we had a little bit of trouble in the beta. But if you look at that, it's really smooth right now. And here we go. Very nice and smooth level off. The passengers would not feel that at all. Alt cruise. Very well done. That's a huge improvement over our look at it in the beta version. So really lots of work that went into it, it seems. Okay, and here we are, flight level 190 after 9 minutes of flight time. That's a pretty good time, I would say. But then again, for these altitudes, I would call it absolutely believable. So let's just go ahead and prepare our flight plan then. We might very well expect a little shortcut, I have a feeling. So if we take the 2-tot over here and make that not 4,000 above, but 4,000 straight. That should probably provide us with a little nicer descent profile. So 2-tot 4,000. And that's it. Okay, excellent. So 93 miles till our top of descent. So we are going to have a little bit of a cruise flight here. And, well, let's just take a little shortcut. Why not just go directly towards 2-tot? So 2-tot, direct 2. And if we want to execute it, we simply press the button up here. As you can see, radial in and radial out is unfortunately not implemented at this moment, and the beam points are not either. Those are some functions that I would really like to see added for a future version. But okay, for now, direct towards 2-tot. And that is a little nice shortcut over here. Okay, well, and that's it. So with that, we are up in cruise. There is not really a lot we need to do right now. But just in order to avoid any trouble later on, let's go ahead and start a little bit of a setup for the approach already. So let's get the latest weather over here for our destination. Ibiza QNH 1016, we can pre-select that. Here we go. The plane is reacting a little bit quick for that. Normally when you pre-select a QNH, it shouldn't really start a climb or a descent, but it should simply maintain the cruising flight level. But, well, we are talking a default aircraft here in the end. So, just before we start doing the setup, let's talk for a quick moment about our experience so far. And I do have to say, the only negative thing I noticed was really that freeze that we had, which meant that we had to restart the flight. Apart from that, the airplane did perform perfectly. I really have nothing to complain about, especially taking into account that this is a default aircraft. So, very well done. Some people keep asking me, what's better, fly-by-wire or iniBuilds? Well, honestly, you gotta make your own impression on that. Personally, I feel the fly-by-wire is a little bit better in terms of systems, while the iniBuilds is definitely better in terms of graphics. Now, personally, I do value graphics very high, so that probably puts the iniBuilds ahead a little bit for me. But then again, that is very personal preferences, and there's really no way to make a definite statement on that. What I can say is, if I compare the iniBuilds A320neo with, well, other default aircraft we've seen so far, then this is by far, and really by far, the best default aircraft that I've flown on so far. So, really worth the compliment here. iniBuilds have done a great job, and if we think ahead in a Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and think about how that is going to be, if we just assume for a moment that all default aircraft are going to be at this level, then all I can say is that there will be great times for flight simmers ahead. Alright, well, that much about a little bit of general impressions over here. In my opinion, so far, almost everything we wanted to do, 99% of the SOP worked pretty fine, so there's really nothing to complain about. Take it from a German. If we don't have anything to complain about, that means the thing is pretty good. Alright then, that out of the way, let's go ahead and start a little bit of a setup then for our destination. So, if we do have a look at the weather, then 0506 is a clear landing on runway 06, 20 degrees already, QNH 1016. We are prepared for a little shortcut, arriving in 4002 dot. That means we will probably be able to turn base pretty much just over 2 dot. So going through our routing nonetheless though, at least over the final approach, this is where things get interesting. So we got Ibiza runway 06, starting our descent at 9.1 nautical miles, so that is going to be at the... well, the actual descent point seems to be missing in here. We've got Osnabrück, which is at 11 DME, and then 2 miles after that we should have our final descent point, but okay. Well, 3-degree glide path is correct. Then we cross 6 DME in 2000. That's the Fox point. A little interesting bearing over here. 3,493 degrees. So we did find a small bug after all. And now comes the interesting part. That is the missed approach procedure. So the missed approach in Ibiza is basically designed like this. You're flying straight ahead to 800 feet or 2 DME Ibiza, whichever is later. Right hand turn heading 172. So that's got to be the intercept over here, 171, good enough. Onto the radial 121 outbound till 7 DME. And that is the 2 waypoints we have over here. Now thereafter it's going to be right hand turn onto the 9 DME Ibiza arc, which is the one we see over here, until radial 150. So that's the 150 I point over there. And then we intercept radial 163 outbound until, well, we just intercept radial 163 outbound, climb towards 3000. And that's pretty much what we have here. So it's a pretty complicated missed approach procedure, and I have to say, for a default aircraft, it's really drawing that very, very nicely. So that is really well done. Okay, so for the approach itself, that certainly means we are going to use Ibiza VOR, as that is going to be rather handy. Radial 121 at first, and then we can also take India Bravo Alpha on the right side with radial 163. And that's pretty much what we would need to fly the missed approach conventionally. So Ibiza Romeo 06 is in here, looking forward into the descent, 0.77/300. Well, that 0.77 over here is somewhat catching me because we're cruising at Mach 0.6, as you can see. So if we start the descent at 0.77 now, it would mean the speed would jump straight ahead to 300 knots. I'm not sure if the A320 is different from the A330 in those regards, but the A330 surely wouldn't do that. In the A330, you would get 0.60/301. So let's go ahead and program that manually. It just makes the flight a little bit smoother. Here we go. That definitely does provide for a little bit just nice conditions. Okay, top of descent reached. Interesting. That just jumped quite a bit. But okay, if the plane wants to go down, then we will go down. Make that low 100 at first. Descent out, flat low 100 blue. Thrust idle. Gonna clear that out. 1,400 high. Well, that's not gonna be too much of a problem. Right then, for the approach setup we said 1016. Temperature 20, and the wind is 050 at 6, slightly variable, but you always enter the mean wind in here, so that's going to be 050 at 6. Alright, for missed approach, it's going to be a minimum at 260, and we are going to perform a config full landing today, since we did config 3 the last time, and that worked very well. So let's see how config full is going to work today. And then for the engine out acceleration, we're going to place that right at the minimum, right at the MSA, so that is 2,800 today. Small 3 feet difference in the thrust reduction and acceleration altitude, not really worth talking about, even though of course it shouldn't be, so we'll just do 1,020 in the acceleration over here as well. Fuel prediction, 11 minutes extra, secondary is going to become a copy of the active. We will use auto brakes low, and well, that's it. So, interesting behavior here, that it's just maintaining the altitude right now. So it looks like, after all, we did find a bug in the VNAV system. Basically that started when I changed the managed speed to 0.60/301. So it looks like the plane has a little bit of an issue with changing the descent speed. It is a pity that we come across this in the review flight, because it did work fine on my last 3 sectors I did with the airplane, including the last flight that I did with it on my channel. But, okay. So be it then. I'll just keep it in managed mode, see what it's going to do. I have a feeling it's just going to wait and re-intercept the profile for for where it should really be. But we'll see about it. We'll see about it. We keep an eye on it. Okay then, quick PA to the passengers, and yeah, then we're ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, from flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We've started our descent towards Ibiza, remaining flight time approximately 15 minutes. The weather over there very nice, with just a few clouds, temperature already 20 degrees, and a light wind from the northeast. Thank you very much for choosing Vueling for today's flight. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to welcoming you again on board of a future scheduled service. Thank you very much for your attention, and we wish you nice holidays, or if applicable, a nice and safe continuous journey. By the way, very nice to see the PA in use on the eCam over here, while the button is pressed. If we release that, PA in use goes away. Very nice. Okay, so that thing is done. Then let's go ahead and do the approach briefing, please. So that's going to be for the pilot monitoring then. Okay, the MSA is 2,800 feet. We are going to fly basically radar vectors down onto the ILS Zulu, approach runway 06, but nonetheless, we do have the Tulsa for Victor arrival programmed in there. Minimum 260 feet barometric, and for the go-around, straight at 800 or 2DME, whichever's later. Right turn, radial 121, and then via all those RNAV points, climbing 3000. Extra fuel is 11 minutes. Oh, fuel left, wing tank, low level. Well, it's gone again already. The outer tank fuel transfer just started, so if we just have another look at that, we did experience the same on our previous flight. Yeah, if you look at that, it just started the fuel transfer from the outer tank, so it's probably just about on the threshold and starts the transfer a tiny bit too late, thereby leading to the ECAM caution. That's my personal theory of what's happening there. But okay, then let's continue our briefing. So guidance for the approach is going to be an ILS with approach mode. Landing flaps full, stop margin is plenty. Reversers will be used, auto brakes low, and the planned runway exit is going to be via the rapid exit taxiway to the left hand side. I don't have any hotspots for the taxi in, there is nothing special, nothing non-standard. Which threats do you see for our arrival? Alright, the only threat I have is that VNAV currently still is not really working that reliably. We gotta lose 21,000 feet till the deceleration at level 100, so when we are 21 miles prior to the decel point over here, and it still hasn't commenced its descent itself, then we are going to go open descent and correct for that. Yep, I fully agree with you. Apart from that, there are a couple of hills on Ibiza Island. We don't have terrain display modeled, unfortunately. You can see the in-up sticker down here. That's a little bit of a pity, but on the other hand side, I am rather happy that iniBuilds did not go the way how some other developers did and use the default simulator terrain map. So with a bit of luck, something is coming there in the future. I'm a little bit positive about that, but overall, we will have to see. Okay. I don't have anything miscellaneous, so that is our briefing complete. Any questions? No. Excellent. Okay, reaching 21 miles to the decel point. That is the point where the airplane should slowly start descending a little bit quicker. Let's just see if we can force it into that. If I just change the cruise level here, make it 170, see what we're gonna get. I might be confusing the airplane now, because I'm doing things with the VNAV system that, well, would beat standard Airbus stuff, but yeah, I have a feeling we just gotta revert to open descent over here. Well, there we go, with the vertical deviation dot again. We'll just start the descent ourselves, see what we're going to get, and we'll keep an eye on it. Okay, fasten belts on. It is a little bit of a pity, as I mentioned on my as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, on the previous video it worked just perfectly, and now it does encounter these VNAV issues. So it looks like the system is not perfect yet, but with a little bit of luck and a couple of updates, we are hopefully going to get there. I mean, all I did was to change the planned speed for the descent, and that seems to have thrown the system off. So note to yourself, if you don't want to fiddle with vertical navigation manually, just keep the standard speeds that the FMS is calculating, and then things should work. Let's see, maybe we can force it to reprogram the profile. Let's just insert that constraint once again. Maybe that recalculates something. Yeah, maybe. Looks like the VNAV is descending again. Let's see if we can re-intercept that. Descent. Should now go at 1,000 feet a minute until it re-intercepts the profile. So let's try and see if that's going to work. Certainly looks like the VDAF is coming in quickly now, so maybe reinserting that altitude constraint has fixed it. Quick note over here, the path intercept symbol is missing. The real Airbus does have a symbol where you are going to intercept the vertical path, but looks like that is not here at the moment. Okay, let's go all the way down, set QNH. Maybe just do a quick weather update in here as well. Unchanged. Well, 21 degrees now, the rest is unchanged. So QNH 1016 cross-check passing 12,100 now. Checked. And here comes the vertical profile. So it looks like reinserting the altitude constraint has fixed it. Thrust idle. Okay, well, this is good. So, it is now coming down nicely. I am just going to do these items a little bit earlier so that we can monitor the deceleration into which it's going right now. I'm not 100% sure why the FMA reads speed. It should be thrust idle still. But that would probably be asking a lot from the airplane. Okay. So, approach checklist, please. Barrel ref, QNH 1016, seatbelts on, minimum, Baro 260, auto brake, low, engine start selector, norm, approach checklist complete. Alright, there is our island. And I believe over here is the airport. Well, the weather is not good enough for a visual approach, otherwise you know me, I would definitely do those. But looks like with these clouds over here we are going to fly the standard approach. Thrust idle. And down we go again. So 250 knots passing 10,000. That's looking good to me. Looking at the arrow over here, we are going to reach 4,000 just at 2 dot. Speed 220, the deceleration point is here, so that's looking all pretty good. Cabin crew, prepare for landing. Okay, awesome. So things are really working. Quick look and listen at the outside. In my opinion, well done sounds. I mean, I've never been that close to an A320neo in flight. Certainly not at these altitude and speeds. But, in my opinion, believable. The soundscape, I like it. I do like it. Also worth pointing out the flight dynamics over here. Idle thrust, 250 knots, 1,400 feet a minute. That's pretty much what I would expect the airplane to do. That is really pretty much what I would expect it to do. So it is working quite nicely. Okay, so everything automated. We really don't need to do all that much. And I mean, seeing that this is like a 35-minute flight, it's quite cool how automated the airplane is and how little there is to do for us. Obviously, once you get the grips of the airplane, it does become pretty easy. In the beginning, you might need to have to work a little bit on it. At that point, I can really recommend you my tutorial series on the A320 once again. It is recorded with the Phoenix A320, but things should pretty much work exactly the same in the iniBuilds, with the exception of the ACAS system, which obviously is a little bit different. Talking about ACAS, by the way, let's go ahead and have a quick look there. MCDU menu, ATSU. And if we do have a look at the OE status, the out and off have been recorded correctly, only the date is missing. Apart from that, it is really doing exactly what it should. I like that. Okay, and that's really all I have to say about it already, because, well, it is only that one page. So, that's our airport right down there. Weather is unfortunately really not good enough for a visual approach, otherwise I'd always be there for one. Looks like there is a guy approaching runway 24. Not sure why he's doing that. Should definitely be runway 06. And indeed, the real flight just flew about an hour before I started recording this one, and went on 06 as well, so I'm pretty positive it is gonna be that runway. $1,000 to go. Speed's coming back nicely. For a moment it was adding thrust and showing idle at the same time, but that went away quickly, so we'll let it slip. Thrust idle. Okay then, down to 3,000. And that's alt 4,000 magenta. Okay, tell you what, we'll take a quick shortcut over here, so... Thrust idle, open descent heading. And, well, we just gotta tidy up the flight plan. The way we do this in the real one is we would just delete the from waypoints, but in the simulation I wouldn't be surprised if that caused a little bit of trouble, so in order not to completely confuse it, let's just give it a direct towards Osnook. And then we'll just keep radar vectoring ourselves from there. So Osnook is on top. Can stay on heading, please. Make that 200. But the speed should definitely not increase over here. So activate approach phase. Alt star. Glide slope alive. So 2,800 is the MSA, we are more or less IMC, but you can see that there are certainly a couple of hills in the area, so we don't want to overdo ourselves here. We're just going to keep flying straight for a little bit until we can eventually start our left-hand turn. Okay, so we should be good now. Let's go ahead and start our descent towards 2,000. Vertical speed 500 and the left-hand turn onto the base. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Okay, further left heading 090, cleared ILS approach Zulu runway 06. Cat3 dual autopilot 1 and 2, lock star, glide slope blue. Going straight into the sun, let's get those sunshades down for a bit.
2,500.
Checked. It's not going to be a perfect CDA, not a perfect continuous descent approach, but it will be a level segment for less than 2.5 miles, so technically speaking it does count as a CDA. Lock. Flaps 2. Speed check, flaps 2. Glide slope star. Go around altitude 3000 set. Gear down. Okay, autopilot off. Let's do a little bit of manual flight over here to see how the flight dynamics are. Cabin should be ready by now. Flaps 3. Speed checked. Flap 3. Flaps full. Speed checked. Flaps full. So I'll tell you what, on the last one we flew with manual thrust, so this time we're going to keep the auto thrust engaged. See how that's going to perform. Landing checklist, ECA memo, landing no blue, landing checklist complete. So a little word here on the manual flight characteristics of the aircraft. Generally speaking, it does feel pretty right for an Airbus. Especially for a default aircraft, it's just flying awesome. I mean, the pitch and power values are pretty much spot on. We're looking at about 2.5 degrees pitch over here, and about 50% thrust, and the plane is just doing that very nicely. So there's really not all that much to say about it. Also, maneuvering left and right, up and down is possible very precisely, even with neutral sensitivity on the side stick. So, well, what can we say about it? The plane is flying the way it is supposed to fly. Now, I haven't tried it in any protections, so I can't comment yet on... I cannot comment on any of those protections built into the Airbus. But then again, we are checking normal operations here, and in normal operations you definitely wouldn't fly the aircraft into those. So you can see I'm going a little bit left and right here. It's really just to check out the maneuvering a bit. Land.
Minimum
Continue.
200.
Spoiler! Reverse green, decel. $70 knots. That was pretty nice braking. That was almost a brake to vacate, wasn't it? Okay, so overall nicely done. 39 minutes of flight time. We're going to vacate the runway to the left, and then we'll taxi it straight to the apron. Landing physics, well, you saw that I flared a little bit early, probably an old habit from the A330, because you flare the A330 in 40 feet, not in 20 to 30 feet as you do with the A320, so my apologies for that. But nonetheless, we made it down onto the ground here in Ibiza, and we'll taxi straight to the gate. So, in general, landing, well, I would say it's okay. Not much to add about it, really. It does land pretty nicely. You can certainly fly it down on the ground, nice and smooth, as we just did. And that's the important thing, isn't it? Okay, after landing checklist, radar and predictive wind shear off after landing checklist complete. Starting the APU a little bit earlier here, I want to see if we can get a little bit of single engine taxi in, just to see how the aircraft is going to perform under those conditions, because I do consider single engine taxi normal operating procedures for any airliner, and for an A320 certainly it is. Again, the plane rolls really nicely over here with the engines in idle. A little bit of acceleration in there, pretty much exactly what I would expect the aircraft to do. Okay, let's take a small detour around all those gates over here, and we'll enter the apron on the other side. APUs does take a while to start up, if you ask me. I'm not 100% sure if that is correct the way it is modeled, or if this APU is taking a little bit too long. I mean, there are certainly APUs out there that do take a long time to start up. That is not completely unheard of. So it might be that when they researched the aircraft, they came across one particular plane that had this. So I'm not all too surprised. Okay, electric hydraulic pump on, engine number 2 cut off. Let's see how it is going to perform under single-engine taxi conditions. In general, I don't expect too much of a handling change. The plane should still accelerate a tiny bit, if it is light enough. And you shouldn't need much of a tiller input, because, hey, the engine is not mounted on the outer part of the wing, right? It's still mounted on the inner part. This one, it looks like we are slightly slowing down over here. Let's add a little bit of thrust to make it through the turn. So with that bit of thrust here, 30%, it's going fairly nicely. Go back to idle. So we'll take gate number 27 over there. You can see it's more or less maintaining the speed. I would say those are definitely believable characteristics of a single engine taxi. Turning over the live engine, you can see we are bleeding a little bit of speed here. That's probably more due to the tight turn and the ground physics than turning over the live engine, though. Because normally that is not a problem at all. That is a little bit of a myth under flight simmers. You can see with a little bit of thrust application, very easy to get this in. Okay, A320 is on the docking system. And here we are. Okay, brake set, APU bleed on, electric pump off, engine 1 shut down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Okay, the engine is running down in a nice and believable way, I would say. Then we do have 20%. Parking checklists. Park and brake our trucks. brake set, engines off, wing light off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. Right guys, and there we have it already. That's the iniBuilds A320neo for you. So what's my final verdict then? Well, it is a beautiful airplane. I do really like it. I can't overemphasize it. It is the best default aircraft that we've seen to date. It's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Remember, even the high-end payware aircraft like the PNDGs, the Phoenixes and so on, they all have their issues. And that little VNAV issue we had, we could overcome it by reinserting that altitude restriction. That did solve the VNAV problem we had. And apart from that, it really just did what it was supposed to do and flew pretty nicely. Systems are working for the most part, like let's say 90% of what we would use, or maybe 95% of what we use on a normal flight is there. And well, for a default aircraft, that is absolutely amazing. Really is. Now, that is my final verdict on the iniBuilds A320. It is an awesome aircraft, especially for default. It is probably one of the best things that Asobo has done for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Giving people this aircraft for free is really amazing. You could easily have sold it for, you know, 40 bucks or something, and giving it out for free is just awesome. Having this as standard Flight Simulator aircraft is really excellent. It is going to provide a very good entry into airliner simming for third parties. Or for third parties, well, for simmers. While I was saying this, I was thinking on the effect it would have on the third party market, because obviously this does set the bar very high for A320 simulations. Now, obviously, if you are looking for a full-fledged A320, then Phoenix is still the way to go, with all the failures and, well, much more complete system simulation. But overall, in my opinion, this is a really good aircraft. I can certainly recommend giving it a try, and it does come to your simulator for free. If you are on PC, be sure to get that free enhancement from the marketplace, as it really does add quite a bit of value to the aircraft. If you just go outside for a moment into the camera, you can see, even when we're going close up, it's really high quality of modeling here on the aircraft as well. And that shall be our final verdict. So thank you very much for flying along. I do hope that you enjoyed this one. Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Again, the only real problem we had was that little system freeze in the beginning. But apart from that, all I can say is give this one a try. It's absolutely worth it. And then I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one. In the meantime, if you did like the video, be sure to leave a like on YouTube. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below, and if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Finally, if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.